President Museveni offered me a position in cabinet. I consulted deeply, I prayed, I consulted, I prayed, I consulted, I prayed, and I went back to him and I said, sorry, Mr. President, I cannot take this position. But I think I can give you somebody who can serve. He was ready to listen. That is now when I went to consult. And I chose, out of respect of the offer and the seriousness which I take the presidency, I offered my wife. And recently I've seen the president acknowledging that when somebody offers his wife, it's a serious undertaking. That's the seriousness which I approached the interaction. So now if somebody wants to abuse me or wants to attack my wife, find better ways. Find better ways. You don't send a scarecrow. You don't hide behind. Come out. I'm not going anywhere. And I'm here to debate. You see, one of the reasons I told the president that I cannot take up the position is I think differently. The way I approach a problem is completely different to how those on the other side. I'll give a clear example. Last year, towards the end of the campaign, when we're being mistreated, I'll repeat, we're being mistreated terribly by security forces and agencies. I still reached out and I shared 3 policy positions to the powers that be. Many of my team were not happy. Many of my supporters said, why? But I said it's always important to keep a door open for conversation. Even when Iran and the US are pounding each other, they still have ways of communicating. So even if we disagree and we strongly disagree, it does not stop me from talking. But one of the policy positions I presented resulted in a blue letter which came out on the 11th of February 2026, where the president is writing to the Prime Minister talking about this airport in Barara. Why do I claim this one? One of the policy positions I sold to this government was, at this moment there are many mega projects in South America, most of them being undertaken by Chinese interests. There are a lot of cargo flights currently flying through South America, and these are not scheduled flights, but there are also personnel around these projects. Even in Uganda, we have mega projects which are run by these huge Chinese companies. Most of them are parastatals. There was this air corridor which existed, but was going to be able to be exploited. So I shared this notion that Uganda can benefit. I wanted Uganda to benefit. But there was also some diplomatic issues. And diplomacy is not something which we treat or we handle carelessly. That's why sometimes I get irked by when people handle diplomacy as if it's something their own private affair. It's not. And I wrote, Jimmy Akena writing while being squeezed terribly, being mistreated. On the 23rd of December 2025 at 15:43, I write and I quote, this is the one I mentioned, that is only HE who could navigate through both US and Chinese interests as the cargo capacity grows. My understanding, because the president has been there for long, he can score for Team Uganda. Team Uganda must win. For me, Team Uganda must win. So I shared this for Team Uganda to win. I know we don't live in isolation. There are other countries which are competing, so I share this one for Team Uganda. I'll always be Team Uganda. And the thinking was, when this air cargo come, there will be roughly 10 to 30 tons per plane able to go to Middle East, Far East, Europe. At the same time, you have the European Union has opened the space and saying farmed fish can be exported to Europe. China has allowed all aquatic products to be exported to China. How do you transport them from Uganda to China? You need planes. Where the planes coming from? From South America, or they're already there. So what does this government go and do? The president writes to the Prime Minister. Talk about one airport in Mbara. The argument is correct. The argument is correct. Yet if somebody was to come from Brazil, refuel at Nyakisharira, it would take him 20 hours of flying time. It takes 9 hours from South America to Nyakisharira and 11 hours from Nyakisharira to China. Correct. But that is true for every airport in Uganda. Entebbe, it's true, but true today. Gulu, it will be true. Arua, it will be true today. So what does that mean to me as a nationalist? We need export capacity. We need cold storage in Entebbe. We need cold storage in Gulu. We need cold storage in Arua. We need an export drive to get our products into these markets to support our people. That was my thinking. They ran for one airport. Am I on the same page? I was looking at what can drive Uganda, all these airports, to become hubs for export, hubs for Ugandan products, to raise our families, and also for these families to be able to have nutrition to feed their children. They run for one airport. Can I really be comfortable in such an environment? I cannot. So my policy position is different. But I challenge any of these people who are just making noise here. Does anybody ever presented a policy position which can actually stand scrutiny? Jimmy Akena UPC presented the housing policy. It has been peer reviewed to target mainly the soldiers, the policemen, the prison workers, the teachers, people who are mobile, but to be able to own their homes with dignity. That is UPC idea for the people of Uganda. This is happening, but it should never happen in Uganda. Those are the sort of policy questions which I want to discuss. I want to debate. So, if there are those who think they can take me on, please, I welcome you. I've had issues, I've seen things on Twitter. Others want to go on a boxing ring, others want to do I want to debate policy of Uganda with anybody whosoever chooses. I wanted Museveni for 2026. I wanted it. I was ready, more than ready. Then now people say, oh, really? I was ready. Those who didn't want it should understand that some of us are focused on more than just many of these issues on the surface. Which is now I'm going to come to, let me address a little bit of the noise. I invite you to look for the Hansard, look for any statement, look for any show, and show me my change of tone. I've always spoken the issues. On the floor of parliament, I've spoken the issues. On health, I've spoken the issues. On animal health, I've spoken the issues, and that's an area which I worked in. Okay. I have raised it on the floor. One of the issues I tell them that the problem you're feeling is because you don't know why you are there. You don't know the purpose. I've raised the issue. Education must be a qualitative and a quantitative improvement in the citizen. And for me, the citizen is the most valuable. I've said it always. I can say it politely, I can say it also with vigor, but I say the same message. You read the Hansard, look for it. You see, the people say, Akena said this, Akena said that. I say, okay, you show me. Okay. In this day of media, there's nothing which is going to disappear. Produce it. Produce it. You see, people make their own things and then they attribute it to you, and then you want me to defend what is in your mind. I don't know what's in your mind. I know what I am and what I stood
Say
for.
what's in my mind, sir.
No, I can't answer what's in your mind. I can answer what's in mine.